Hi there, Charlie here again, and today we're going to be talking about this fella here, which is the Nikon F100, which is a 35mm film SLR. I've got this second hand. Bit of background: basically when I got into photography, when I got back into photography about 10 years ago, this is the camera that I really wanted but could not afford. When this was brand new, this cost sort of about £700 or £800 new, just for the body, so it was well out with my price range. Now obviously with digital taking over and film becoming more and more of a sort of niche market, cameras like these are appearing on the second-hand market at very good prices, and often in very good condition. And this one I would say is in excellent condition. The only thing was missing one of the little plastic caps for one of the ports there, and it has a few minor scuffs on it. You know, it looks as though it's been used, but not heavily. It's certainly not been used by a professional photographer, I wouldn't have thought. I was able to get this, what I did earlier, well, sort of middle of 2010 last year. I was clearing out some of my camera gear, getting ready to sell it and to make some space, as it were. And what I did was I traded in the camera body that I actually bought at the time when I couldn't afford this, which was a Nikon F80, which is the little brother of this camera. Very good camera, but this was the camera I really wanted. I was able to trade in that Nikon F80 and a couple of lenses and a battery grip against this camera, and I ended up paying only £50 actual money to get this camera. I think this was priced at sort of about £230 or something for this camera. No lens, obviously not the lens, just the body, and also for the battery grip as well, which we'll have a look at later on. An excellent deal. As I said, it's the camera that I've always wanted. Anyway, what I'm going to do is we'll swap into close-up and we'll have a look at some of the controls on the camera. It's going to be very quick. I'm not going to go into a great deal of depth about it. It's not a particularly complex camera, but I just thought it might be interesting if you're in the market for a second-hand 35mm SLR. If you're a Nikon user, the great thing with this camera is it will use, if you've got manual focus lenses and stuff, that will use those with no problem. It will meter with those lenses. So as well as your modern autofocus lenses, this camera works really well with old manual lenses as well, so it's quite a useful tool to have in your arsenal. Anyway, let's move into close-up and take a closer look at the camera. Okay, very quickly then, just looking at the camera in close-up now. First thing you notice when you pick up the camera is it's really nice and solid. I mean, the body of this is made from a magnesium alloy. The whole, so the prism cover, the top plate, rear plate here, are all made of metal. The camera I had before this, the F80 that I traded in along with some lenses to get this camera, was plastic, and that's the reason that it cost sort of 300 quid rather than the sort of £800 or £900 that this camera body cost when it was new. Also, all the buttons and stuff on here are weather sealed, so you don't need to worry too much about getting wee drops of water on this and stuff. It's a nice sturdy camera. The other great thing about this camera that I've found certainly is right now, if you're using the kind of current digital SLRs, or certainly slightly more professional level digital SLRs from Nikon, such as maybe a D300 or a D700, you'll find that you pick the camera up and you're immediately at home with it. I mean, I could give you this camera without any real instruction. You would know how to use it, simply because from about the vintage of this camera, which was probably I think around about 2000 or something like that, it's probably maybe 10 years ago or so, Nikon sort of came up with a sort of a layout for their autofocus cameras, and they've pretty much stuck with that ever since. And as a result, the ergonomics haven't changed from camera to camera a great deal. So as I say, if I handed you this camera and you'd used you're currently using a digital SLR, you would know how to use this camera. Things like the power switch around the shutter release here is in the same place. You've got your sub and main command dials on the front and back under your thumb and forefinger, which change shutter speed and aperture. And also when we hold down any of these mode buttons and move them, we can, for instance, if you look here, we can change to program, shutter priority, aperture priority, manual. This is exactly the same method which we use on the modern digital SLRs to change modes as well. Looking over the other side as well, you've got this this rotary switch here that lets you select whether it's single shot, continuous slow, self-timer, or multiple exposure. That is in exactly the same place as the sort of mode dial on the D700 that I own as well. So switching from camera to camera, it's not a major issue. Obviously, the main difference is on the back here, you don't have a nice big screen that shows you your shots afterwards. We've just got a little window so we can tell what film we've got in there, and we've got a sort of control pad for selecting one of the 5 autofocus points. On the side of the prism as well, we've got a nice switch here for switching metering modes. And on the bottom we've also got some connectors as well for using with this, which is the battery grip, which allows us to run the camera off of 6 AA's, and it gives us a vertical shutter release, main command dial, and autofocus on button. It doesn't have a sub-command dial on the front like the newer grips do, unfortunately, which is a little bit of a pain once you get used to something, but it's better than nothing, and it makes the camera obviously a lot more comfortable to hold if you're doing lots of portrait shooting and stuff. Anyway, as I said, the main thing I like about this camera is the fact that it fits in with my kind of workflow. I can have this in my bag with my digital SLR, and I can use the same lenses as I do with my D700. And I can swap between the cameras with no real break in my kind of workflow or anything. I don't have to sort of think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm using a different camera, where's the aperture or where's the shutter speed. It just kind of works. Other things with the camera that I really like is the fact that obviously with the battery grip off as well, whilst it's chunky, it's reasonably compact as well. It doesn't draw too much attention to yourself, to be honest. I mean, it probably looks more chunky here in close-up just because of the distortion from the from the camcorder lens, but it's a fairly inobtrusive camera. It's good fun to shoot with, and also that shutter release noise that it makes is great. I'm not going to fire it because it's got some film in, but it's nice to hear the noise of a shutter release and some film winding on after you get used to the digital sort of clack, and that's it. So anyway, if you're thinking of getting a second-hand camera to use with film, and particularly if you're a user of Nikon digital SLRs, you'll find that this camera, if you were to buy one second hand, will fit into your sort of camera bag really nicely, along with your existing lenses, and rather nicely as well if you have perhaps some older manual focus lenses like this one. This is a 24mm AIS, maybe with your old manual cameras. You can use these lenses with the F100 as well. Obviously you won't have autofocus, you're going to have to manually focus, but those lenses, the camera will meter with those lenses in center weighted and spot mode, and you'll be able to use them. It has the coupling for the AI lens, basically, to transmit aperture information back to the camera so that it can meter properly, which is something that the cheaper Nikons of this era didn't do. So again, it will work with all your old manual focus lenses and your new autofocus lenses. Anyway, that's it, guys. Hopefully that's useful to you if you're maybe thinking about buying one of these second hand, and we'll see you around in the next video. Hopefully going to be putting some stuff up covering black and white film processing. It's going to be quite a long process. I'm going to have to shoot it in different sections and kind of cut it all together, so bear with me, but hopefully I'll have up some interesting videos for you in the near future.